Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. Well, I was just watching the Atari Creeps video. Lately he's been doing some great stuff that's inspired me to be doing some videos. But he was talking about the Intellivision Amico and would people still be interested in it without the Intellivision brand attached to it. So essentially just the Amico. And what that kind of made me think was it brought me back to when a couple of years ago, I think I did a video where I was talking about is the Amico dragging the Intellivision name through the mud, essentially. Where a lot of people's first impressions or impressions of the Intellivision brand falling on the Amico, and I kind of didn't like that. I was like, when the Amico first, kind of going back into the past, into like when it all first began, and I remember getting an email from somebody. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was. I mean, if you're watching this video, throw it in the comments. But I remember getting a kind of a heads up that this Intellivision thing was coming. You have to excuse me. I'm still recovering from this long ass sickness. Got more water here. But anyways, yeah. So the announcement was made that this Amico, or sorry, it wasn't Amico at the time, but this Intellivision was coming back. And I was like, okay, I'm going to check it out. And I started watching the live feed on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's a man that played Intellivision as a kid, and he wants to bring it back in today's world. I'm intrigued. Let's see what he can do. And of course, at that time, there wasn't a lot of information. A lot of designs weren't even made. Nothing was, finalized. And I followed it from that point on. In fact, I got to be the first YouTuber, if you want to call it that, to actually interview Tommy Tallarico after the announcement. And of course, it was a lot of ideas being thrown around. He didn't have a design, he didn't have a name, he didn't have all that stuff. But it was interesting to see where he wanted to take it. And I started following the story. And of course, we all know the history at this point. It just didn't seem to go anywhere. It was like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And, they built a whole business. They spent money on a whole big office. They had staff. They had, they started developing a console. COVID hit. It just became this big whole thing. And, of course, a lot of YouTubers started chiming in and starting attacking the Amico and saying it's a scam and it's this and that. And I kind of sat in the sidelines going, okay, well, let's just see where this goes. But at some point I started to realize, this isn't good. This isn't good. This is not doing justice to the Intellivision name. Especially for a console that wasn't really that well known in comparison to, say, something like Atari and Nintendo. For this to become the impression of what the system was all about. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that was, where it was going. And so the Atari Creep, Chris, the Atari Creep, he was talking about, the whole thing about the Intellivision name being, taken away and it's just going to be the Amico. And I thought, okay, maybe this is a good thing. I mean, Atari acquiring the Intellivision name or brand or whatever, essentially just absorbing in the Intellivision might actually be a good thing. Because they're going to preserve what we loved about the Intellivision. They're not going to try and make some modernized new version of it. They're going to preserve what we had and show the capabilities of what the original system could do. And if you think about what it could do back then to what other consoles of the day could do, it was far more superior. I mean, it was a 16-bit system. It had, so many directions that, on the disc. It had so many buttons compared to a lot of the other consoles of the day. Obviously the ColecoVision had something very similar, but it definitely had a lot going on. The way it could scroll, the way it could, all the colors it could display, the graphics, the capabilities. It kind of was a spectacular system for its time. And for its reputation to just kind of be slung through the mud the way it was, I was not comfortable with that. But anyways, I'm just thinking that, now that Atari has acquired the Intellivision brand, I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing um, maybe new games being put out in different ways. Maybe on the Evercade. I mean, the Evercade's been putting out Intellivision games. Maybe we can get Intellivision games on the Atari VCS, on the Switch, things like that. And not just the classic ones. I mean, there's a lot of great homebrews. Like, I started programming. I got Oscar Toledo's book, Programming for Intellivision, a few years back, and I've been creating my own games. I've created Napoleonic Wars. Well, it wasn't just me. There was a team of us, but it turned out to be a great game. And this is a new game for the Intellivision that you can play. I did a bunch of other ones like Fast Food and Keystone Cops were two of the ones I did in earlier days. And I'm hoping that we're going to start seeing this become more of a reality. And another YouTuber, Mike's Gaming Gala, he did a video talking about the whole homebrew crisis, and stepping up the quality of homebrew games. And I see a lot of potential coming in the future, and if we all just look at it that way, as let's start improving the games, let's start improving what we can put out there, coming up with newer hardware. Like we had the Atari 2600 Plus system, so we would like to see maybe that happen with the Intellivision. We can have an Intellivision Plus system, and I've talked about this in one of my previous videos. That might be a good step in the right direction, where you can actually play physical cartridges. Of course, not ROMs, but homebrews, like modern games being programmed today, might be a little bit difficult of a challenge when you're coming up with these these emulator systems. But I mean, there's ways around it. We could figure it out. But mostly what I want to say is I just hope that now that the Amico is kind of detached and it's its own thing, I hope that just stays in the past and people start to realize that that's not what the Intellivision was about. That was something that was a potential. It was something that could happen. It could happen. We could have happened anyways. But it's not the Intellivision. It's a system that was trying to be the modern version of a console that existed about 40 years prior, which would have been great if they could have pulled it off. I think it would have been great, but obviously that's just not the case, and it just kind of fell flat. I don't think it's a problem that we can separate the two, and I hope that just the Intellivision name, the brand itself, could be repaired. Now that Atari owns it, I have faith that they're going to treat it proper. They're going to do it justice. They're going to do it the way that it should be done. And we're going to get some good products. We're going to get some good stuff out of it. And let the Amico do its own thing. Let it become its own thing. Whether they change the name of it completely, they rebrand the system, and if it still comes out playing the games that they said it was going to play, I don't know. I'm on the fence. I don't know if I'm going to really care anymore. But I think I'm at that stage where I'm just like, you know what? I was interested in it about 4 years ago. Now I'm just whatever. I think I would rather just have a really decent actual OG Intellivision emulator that I could play my games on, the original games on, and play some great homebrews. There's a lot of great companies out there making games like Electronite, Intellivision Collector, Homebrew Inc. There's so much going on right now in the actual OG Intellivision. I don't really need the Amico crap anymore. I would rather just have this and just stay with what we know works. And so yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Like this is kind of in response to what the Atari Creep was talking about. I don't necessarily need the Amico in my life. I just want more of the OG stuff. And I hope that new people start to see the kind of interesting stuff that the original Intellivision could pull off, and maybe get interested in it too. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe. I hope I start feeling better lately, because I can't really be doing videos like this. I'm just like, my throat's... and I need water. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.